It is 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Sheboygan Area Schools special meeting for Monday, April 11th, 2024. Mrs. Ballard?
Amber Hanson.
Here.
Marianne Ridings.
Here.
Julie Lohila.
Here.
Matt Malarchuk.
Here.
Dennis Olson.
Here.
Carmela Boyd. Tim Tarja.
Here.
Eric Hall.
If everyone would please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda is the approval of the PQ application. Did everybody have a chance to look through that in the packet? Are there any questions or surprises on that paperwork or any discrepancies that were noted? All right, I'm looking for a motion to approve the preliminary qualification application as presented. Make that motion. Support. Moved by Marianne and supported by Julie. Any questions or discussion? No? Mrs. Ballard?
Julie Lohila.
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk.
Yes.
Tim Tarja.
Yes.
Marianne Ridings.
Yes.
Dennis Olson.
Yes.
Amber Hanson.
Yes. And then we are going to talk about a special meeting date for May. It's just on here as a talking point. Do we have a date picked?
Yeah, we are suggesting, after talking with Site Logic and everybody that was involved in this process, Wednesday, May 8th is the date that we thought would be best. If we can get folks here, 6 p.m. if that works, or 6:30. We're suggesting 6 p.m. if that works for everybody.
I'll be out of town.
Again, Matt? Where are you going this time?
Valley, North Carolina.
Anybody else going to be out of town?
I will not be available on that day at that time, so is there an informal poll for board members that are available?
What might work better?
I'd potentially be back Thursday. I haven't looked at the flights yet. If I could be, like Thursday at 6 might work, but I don't know exactly yet for me, but I'll be back Thursday sometime that week.
Would Thursday work for you, Brad?
Thursdays work for me. I'm not available on Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
Thursday?
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with that. We want to try Thursday then? 6 p.m.? That's the 9th, correct? May 9th? That should work. I don't have
I mean, we can change it if needed.
Looks like that'll work.
Then we can push into athletic committee business.
Okay.
We're ready for you.
We'll start off with the Director of Athletics, Mr. Jason Fry, to give a quick update.
All right, first, I want to thank the board for a couple things. That recently approved the assistance to both JV and varsity baseball and softball. That has been a huge benefit. I've been in the dugouts for a couple of our home games, and the weather that we've had this year so far, I know today's a little different, tomorrow's not going to be nice, but we've had a couple of very nice days out at the ball fields this week, which is not something that we typically get in early April. But I want to thank the board for those assistance for those two sports. Recently we had at our last athletic committee meeting a presentation on an outdoor exercise facility that I know that we're looking at. I don't know if there's been any further look into it besides what we we had the presentation, but I know it's something that we're looking at, to get an outdoor, like, fitness playground that could be on school grounds, would be a great addition to the community. Also want to thank the board for adopting wrestling and cheerleading. That's going to be beneficial to both programs as well. Mr. Bird and myself, and we're looking at forming a committee this summer to create a new athletic code of conduct. That's something that's been missing for our district. This is my 26th year in the district, I think it is, and I have never seen anything like that, so that's something that we're looking to do sometime this summer. Also looking at maybe an indoor winter practice facility. We had some just preliminary discussions on that. This spring has been an anomaly. You know, typically, like last year, it was, I don't know how many games we played in April, but it's just something that we're looking at, the possibility of having some type of inexpensive outdoor, like, standalone facility where you could put a couple batting cages, you could have a little turf area for ground balls, and that's just something that we're looking at as a future project. So in a nutshell, those are some things that we're discussing. Any questions that you might have?
Do you want to give an update on the football coaching search?
Well, we have, can I say the name?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, we have offered the position to Bill Nesbitt, and we are waiting for board approval. I think that would be on the 22nd.
Yes.
Would be the next meeting. I know he's already in Huddle, and Huddle is an online database where the team stores all of its game footage, and he's already been in there looking at game footage from last year, evaluating players, and I've shared several emails with him over the past couple weeks, and he is super excited about coming up and being involved with our program. And it's, I think it's going to be a great fit for our schools, having Coach Nesbitt as leading our football program.
And thank you for the recommendation, Jason. And I've talked with a couple board members, but not everybody. Bill's very excited to get started, right? But obviously there's a process to this. So we went through the committee process, we've interviewed folks, and we've kind of narrowed it down to Bill. Jason is recommending Bill as the head football coach, and that'll be up for approval at the next board meeting. Bill is also moving from St. Clair, which is, I think, about 4 hours. Is it 4 hours, 5 hours, something or something? And he's also interested in teaching for us, so we've talked with Julie a little bit about that as the curriculum chair. We do have openings that is in his certification area. He is certified in PE and English, and we'll have openings in both of those areas. So hopefully it'll be a win-win. Also, his wife is, I believe, a public education secretary, which we have 2 openings next year. So it could work out very well.
And I want to encourage you, if you haven't done so yet, I know Matt's been up there quite a few times, but and I know our fitness center has been talked about a lot over the past few months, but if you have not been up there to see our kids, their excitement, their enthusiasm, I encourage you to stop up there after school and see what they're doing and see their excitement, and it's just a breath of fresh air in the school district. There's no doubt about it.
I do have one copy of Bill's application letter and resume. It'll be part of the April packet, but if you want to take a quick look at that, you can get a glimpse about Bill Nesbitt. Anything else, Jason?
Like I said, spring sports, softball's 4-0, exciting. Had a couple big wins against Petoskey last night, which was great to see. I know our soccer team is undefeated. They went down to Houghton Lake today to play in the rain, but still playing, and you know, we're off and running.
Do you think, as far as maybe like track goes, because I think the other sports are kind of, you know, there's a certain amount of kids that would be on the team that not having to play, the pay to play has increased the amount of kids doing like track for middle school or high school this year? Has there been any?
I have not looked at the numbers yet from this year to last year. I think there's more high schools participating this year than high school students participating this year compared to last year. I know we have a lot of girls, like 34 or so girls that are on our middle school track team. But definitely, I would say, at the high school level. We have a couple of new coaches that have brought a lot of excitement and enthusiasm and have had a lot of positive reviews talking to the students in the hall. Danielle Brock for the girls, Jim Weller for the boys. And I know that they just went up to Sault Ste. Marie last Friday, and both coaches were very excited about the performances for the first time of the year. And for some kids, their first track meet ever.
How's, I know softball's off to a fast start. How's baseball doing?
Baseball is a lot of young pitching. You know, when you go up against Petoskey, you are going up against one of the premier programs in the north. The boys actually threw a no-hitter against East Jordan and lost 1-0.
Wow.
Yes. That's the first time that I can remember that. So, like I said, they're a young team. They've got some young pitchers. And one thing about Coach Bauer, we know that they're going to keep moving forward and get better as the season goes on.
Great.
They're 2-2, aren't they?
0-4.
Oh.
I thought they didn't.
Did you ever?
I thought they'd be,
Yeah.
yeah, Harbor Springs.
Harbor Springs twice?
Oh, 2-6. Sorry. 2-6. That was like 2 weeks ago.
They
That was
won
the old
too.
one
Right after.
Right, yes,
They won a
2-6.
couple games.
2-4.
I thought so too.
2-4. Yes.
Anybody got any questions for Jason? Thank you, appreciate the update. I do have some other athletic committee business before we move on to.
And we have one more, I think some folks from the hockey people. would
Oh,
like to
sure,
address
sure.
the board. They
Yeah.
can-
Yeah.
Good?
Mhm.
We can let them.
You can let them speak.
I have some information for all of you, so.
Okay, great.
Christie's gonna help me with that. So, thank you. I don't know the history between Blue Liners, the high school hockey team, the board, good or bad. All I know is, I don't think someone from the Blue Liners has been to talk to the board in who knows how long. So that's why I provided just a quick context to who the Blue Liners are, and then what we're ultimately are gonna ask you to consider. So just introductions, my name is John Hudson, I'm the Vice President currently of our Blue Liners organization. Christy Harkey, who many of you know already, is a trustee on our board. Just that brief context, nonprofit organization that is here in town to support funding for our Sheboygan Chief High School hockey team. Starting in the 21-22 season, Sheboygan Area Schools, along with the athletic department, move forward and pays for our coaches' salaries, and we're very much appreciative of that, and we're very grateful for that partnership. All other operational costs for high school hockey here in Sheboygan are the responsibility of the Blue Liners. And what I want to call out here is Blue Liners equals parents. And so parents, guardians, in the current, and we try to lure even the families that we know they might have a son or a daughter try out this fall. We try to lure them in and get them involved in our organization sooner rather than later. Beyond any numerous or creative ways that we fundraise, you can see some listed there. We live in a very generous community. Jason, I know you'll know that from sponsorships and from businesses and individuals. But for golf outing, we do have our gate ticket sales, raffles. We even raffled off a signed Fedorov jersey, Ball Hall of Famer this past year. That was quite successful. Car washes that the team, those boys work hard on those summer Saturday mornings. And then sorting cans, and we thank the sports boosters. That was really a great thing. So the remaining operational cost for Sheboygan Chiefs High School Hockey program ultimately falls, beyond fundraising. It falls back on our players, their parents, their guardians, their families. So, examples of those operational costs are ice time. The rink's owned by the city, okay? They need to keep their doors open, so we're charged hours, a rate per hour of ice time. We Blue Liners have transportation costs for the team to away games. Any equipment, that's the responsibility of individual players, their families, even when it comes down to helmets, something of a safety nature.
Game officials, we're responsible for athletic trainer at the home games, uniforms, etc. So we wanted to come today, we're appreciative of the opportunity to even introduce that to y'all. But what I've also included is something that we'd like you to consider. So if you can look at that next page, I tried to, in a very succinct way, and I'm a spreadsheet guy, is to lay out, what those needs are from a transportation, from a game official, and from a athletic trainer at our home games. And you can see, you'll see as you go down, it's noted where they're home or away. School bus needs, our school bus needs are indicated with the A for away, with an estimate on cost. And that estimate on cost is based on the invoice we received just yesterday, we knew what that cost was. So that's when I say plus minus, who knows what it'll be up or down for because of fuel costs or whatever this coming season. But that is what it was, and that would be charged directly to the Blue Liners. So as you look through that, you'll also see game officials. You'll see Emily does a great job as our athletic trainer being there for home games. And you'll come down and, again, estimate. So I'm not going to actually speak to specific amounts, but I am asking the school board and athletic committee to consider, helping this not be on the parents of these players. In some cases, individual players coming up with the money for their share to actually play high school hockey. Now, that's what I had, and I can answer any questions you may have.
I have a question.
Yep.
It might be a silly question, but these transportation costs seem really high.
That's what we're
That's
charged.
what we were invoiced by the school.
Okay.
By us?
Yep.
Yes.
You guys are taking,
Like
School bus.
chartering our school buses, and this is
Yes.
the fee that you got
Yes.
charged by us?
to go to Alpena, these seem incredibly high.
Mhm. I agree.
They seem like field trip prices. They
Yeah,
really-
like it's a rental, it's not,
It-
yeah.
Yeah.
It cost,
I mean, it's not our cost, it's more than
I
our
don't
cost.
know.
Well, if
I
the
think
driver
when you
and
went
the
on
gas.
field trips as a classroom teacher, you paid quite a bit of money to go places.
Mhm.
I feel like $600 to go to Alpena is a lot.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, the bottom line is that it doesn't cost us what's being charged here.
Correct.
I mean, I think is a method to, a lot of other teams have been helped this year by the school, which is great. I think especially one area to help them in the transportation realm is that wouldn't necessarily cost the district a whole lot to do that, but it would help them a lot because that's like a big cost for them. But dollar for dollar, they would get the most bang for their buck. If you picked each one of these three things, the refs are gonna cost what the refs cost, but us to transport them is way less than these costs. That's something that would, if you had to pick one thing to help them with, they would get the most bang for their buck, us helping them with transportation versus.
I thought, do a lot of the players self-transport, or does everybody is
Ride the
expected to ride the bus?
Am I allowed to interject?
Sure.
Yep.
But don't you typically take charter buses?
We take those for our 3 overnight trips, the rest are school buses.
Yeah, we've changed to school buses due to cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Charter buses are
We
2
go to
or 3
Jeffers.
times
I know,
that cost.
because I was, a couple years ago, when I was at the Blue Liners meeting, I was stunned at how everybody chose charter buses
Anymore.
when I saw the
Parents-
prices of both.
Parents have changed.
Okay.
One thing you're not seeing is the operating costs for this last year for the team was $85,000.
Yes, that's what I.
And the parents paid $650 per player,
Plus 500 in raffle tickets, so
And
you're
both-
over $1,000 per player.
and
Per
most
player.
players don't sell the raffle tickets just because it's asking people in the community for money. So that's $22,000 just from parents are putting into it before fundraising.
Our players even pay a tryout fee. They're not even on the team yet, but because it requires ice time that we have to pay the city, it's a $50 tryout fee.
Would the schools that you co-op with be willing to pay their portion of it? Also, like they do for coaches, they pay.
I think it's something we can ask them,
They pay
absolutely.
their portion?
We'll have, let's say we have 1 or 2, I think it'll be 2 next year from St. Ignace, so 2/18ths of the cost, because that's what it would be for the player for the pay for a school bus.
Is your team around 18, is there a cap?
Yeah, there's a cap, I believe,
22, I think.
I think 22 can be a
skaters.
full roster, 20 skaters, 2 goalies. With projections, because I'm also involved in youth hockey, with projections, we're looking like, even including our co-op schools, we're looking at maybe 18 to 19, if everyone who potentially could come up for the team does.
And all of those players, coaches, and equipment fit on one school bus?
They pack, when it's on a school bus, they pack them on and stack them.
Okay.
For playoffs, 2 Cadillac, 2 trips to Cadillac. We won our first round, returned that same week, we were very happy. It was over $800 each time for the school bus.
Right.
But then we also worked with Do It Center, and we had a Blue Liner dad drive a Penske bus, or a truck, that included all the equipment, just so the guys had a little more room to eat a slice of pizza on the way home, whatever. And that was, those Penske trucks were, the Schreiers, it was like $130, and it was worth it for us, for those playoff games. So yeah, but other than that, trip to Petoskey or trip to Alpena, they're stacking bags, and the boys pack in.
I would be in favor of adding this to the agenda for the April regular meeting to discuss, I mean, essentially they're asking this, you're essentially asking the district to cover these 3 costs.
Yeah, and the reason we went with those 3 costs, hockey's an expensive sport.
Yeah.
Basketball, the basketball team, baseball team, they don't have a field fee or a court fee. Hockey does, and we understand that, okay? So these are costs that, with other sports, the cost for the officials, their game fee and their travel stipend isn't passed down to the parents of those particular players, but it is here. But we also understand there is hockey-specific fees, and that's, hey, as Blue Liners, to keep hockey here in the community, that's what we're willing to, sort cans and have every raffle you can think of and sell Little Caesars pizzas and all that stuff. But these are the 3 that kind of really stood out. We mentioned Huddle earlier. We pay for Huddle because there's a licensing fee for that. We even pay for the officials assigning fee. That's at the bottom there, and that gets passed down. So
I might add that hockey has been a successful Sheboygan area school sport for over 20 years.
yeah,
So it's more than proven itself. With other sports, it's been a couple year try, and then they take them on full. I understand that hockey is more expensive with ice time and things like that compared to like basketball, or I don't know if you came to and they service 18 kids. So it's football services more kids, but I'm sure it's a lot more than hockey to provide football with the whole rushing field to be taken care of. But I think that hockey has proven itself over the years.
yeah. I'm not asking for it here, but.
No, I think we should put it on the agenda. At the very least, we should be doing more during the transportation.
I think the transportation
department. It's high.
is reasonable. I think the other stuff, you have to consider that we don't have a trainer for a lot of our other sports, so
Yeah.
that's something to consider. And also, for the officials, if we're not getting the gate revenue, that's what I think covers a lot of our officials.
We'd love for you to take the gate revenue if you pick up the ice fees. The gate revenue is only a fraction of ice fees.
The ice fees is over $150 an hour right
Yeah.
now. It went up like $35 in the last year an hour. And so a game's 3 hours of
Yeah.
ice time.
Games and practice time from the first week of November through, hopefully, and I hope we just keep winning through February. This past year was over $18,000 in ice fees, and that goes to the city. So that gate fee and what we get, and the $20 in student passes that are specific for hockey games, it's a fraction of our revenue generated from gate fees. It's just a fraction of ice fees. But that's what Blue Liners is for, is to fundraise and that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Well, I would agree. I think we can put this on the agenda as a discussion point for the April board meeting. And thank you for presenting and bringing this to our attention.
Thank you, I appreciate it, and again, thanks for allowing us to speak tonight, and I would think almost reintroduce ourselves to the board, so, thank you.
Thank you.
I think we just have, unless somebody else has something more to add, but Marlene, do you want to step up and
You want to intro it, or?
Sure. I'm not sure, there's been some conversation going on for some time about Schedule B in our current teacher contract, and we found a lot of inequity and in our Schedule B, which is our stipends for our teachers if they pick up coaching an athletic team or picking up sponsorship of a club or activity. They're paid by additional stipends. For some reason, the contract was negotiated, the majority of it was negotiated before I started on July 1st. And after taking a closer look at it, most recently, there was some union concerns that some things didn't quite make sense anymore. I know there was a few board members that brought up, this doesn't look right. So Marlene and I were instructed by the board to take a look at Schedule B. We met with two representatives from the teachers union this afternoon, and we discussed some suggested changes to make it more equitable, fair. They make sense to us, and that was this afternoon, and Marlene is the expert in this.
Well, and I work directly with Jason and Lisa, with deciphering the coaching pay salaries. So the discrepancies, when I go to issue contracts to these coaches, I have to be able to look at the schedule and know without having to decipher what exactly I'm paying these people. And when we started adding cheerleading, the current language, as you'll see, it was kind of confusing because I'm like, do we have sideline cheer? Are we competitive cheer? Like, what am I issuing? So that's why we got together with the union to talk about making sure that this is clear and decisive and there's no gray area. And so the first page of the handout that we gave you is the current language, and the second page is what came out of the meeting with Scott Kelly and Nate King today. They came to us with the changes, and we agreed on everything that they presented that was fair, equitable, was clear and concise, except for the changes you'll see where I wrote 6% over the 3.5% that they were proposing. There is already on the schedule, the varsity assistant track position is already at 6%, and it just to keep everything consistent and fair, we thought that all of the other varsity assistant positions should be 6% as well. That was the only change that we talked about and agreed upon. But, we all came to an agreement that the language is much clearer this way, and hopefully moving forward, there shouldn't be any gray areas now.
So what we're asking the board to do is digest this, take a look at it, and we will eventually, once we have an agreed upon change sheet, this is just Marlene and I meeting with Scott and Nate. Here are our ideas for change on a piece of paper, but ultimately with input from the board, we can have a final change, and that change would have to be then agreed upon between the union and the school board. And we would make, which we've already made a couple of those this year when we found some errors and mistakes in the current teacher contract. We would have to make a memo of understanding between both the union and the school board to sign. And then after the school board approves it, then the new changes would go into effect.
Can I ask two questions? So you just said like all the assistants, you were going to move to 6%, but then some of them on here are 6%?
The varsity assistants.
Right, so like who's a wrestling assistant? Or a hockey assistant?
We don't have them at this point, to my knowledge. Is that language that they just talked about? Did they just add those?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
So we have a hockey assistant. We've had a hockey assistant for a while.
The hockey
Wrestling
assistant,
and-
but what was the first one that you mentioned?
There's wrestling.
Wrestling? Is there a wrestling?
We don't have a paid
Wrestling.
wrestling assistant.
It was on the previous contract, it was carried over to the new proposed contract, but it wasn't addressed. And I think we just picked up, when did you pick up wrestling and start? Well, you picked them up as a program just recently, right? But we paid for the
5
coaches.
years
Always
ago,
paid the coaches,
5 years ago is when we picked it up. Last year is when, not this past winter, but it would be last school year is when we started to pay the salaries of the coaches, I believe.
I think there's more that needs to be looked at, because like, when I'm looking at, like, first of all, then why are some other varsity coaches making more than other varsity coaches? And then some of these assistants are like making almost as much as a varsity coach, like in some sports.
Does it have anything to do with the length of the season? I'm a sports person, but.
I don't know when those were established. I was at no part of the conversation.
I think the whole thing needs to be revisited, because to me,
Well, we
like,
can do that moving forward.
I mean, you could argue length of the season, but then other people could argue, well, I'm very successful and I'm winning a bunch of, like, I mean, there's all those arguments to be made, and there's some coaches might coach for 3 months, but then other ones might spend 4 hours a day doing something too, like.
Well, and there's a formula too, it's based on their years of experience, you know, so are they at 0 experience, that goes up to 7 years, we can do this and she did that, and you were part of that, so. You know, there are a lot of variables, but at least for this season, and adding all of the assistants that we added, we needed to get them paid.
So this is just, this is not approved, this is tentative.
Right.
Maybe what
And it was
was,
just the first discussion that we
yeah,
had.
this is
Yeah,
our
I think
first
there's a lot of
reading.
work
Because I think
discussions.
Matt's issue is not more about like all the JV coaches making the same, it's why is, I could be wrong, but why is bowling so much less valuable monetarily than basketball? Like the basketball coach makes more than twice what the bowling coaches make. And bowling had a very successful season.
So what I would suggest is that we continue to work on this. If any board members would like to volunteer to be part of a committee to take a deeper dive into this, and I would ask that Jason be a part of that, and maybe we get a couple coaches' opinions as well, and take a look at this one more time and bring it back to another board meeting. I think this is something we'll need to continue to work on over time. Is that all right with you, Jason?
Yep.
Okay. If anyone's interested, just please email me, and we'll include you, and we could have, what, 2, 3 board members if they wanted to give some input.
Yeah.
That's all I have for athletic business. Does anybody have any other athletic business that they would like to talk about tonight?
I just have one, you know the status of us getting, I don't remember if we approved it, I thought we did at a previous board meeting, of getting some of those like iPads and sensors for the weight room, if like those have been ordered at all. I can't remember if we actually approved it at a meeting or.
I can't remember.
I don't
either.
remember talking about that. I don't remember doing a vote on that, but.
It might not exceed the cost, like for us to have to vote.
I think Jason. Jason,
Yes.
do you recall the conversations about the technology piece? You're talking about the technology
Yeah,
piece
for
of
the fitness center, do you know if they've ordered it at all yet?
I don't. I know that I saw the purchase order for the casing, the charging hub for the tablets.
Right.
And I know I filled out all the paperwork and purchase orders for the sensors that go on the end, and then I turned it in.
So it's been ordered, are you
I
at least
I
going to
sent it
present?
to Jordan.
Okay.
I think we need to investigate that, because I think that's kind of the next piece for kids up in the fitness center to help them give them a little protection.
Yeah, I can check with Laura and see if she's got the purchase order and if she's already ordered it or not. We can check on that tomorrow. Okay. Anything else?
Just gonna request if sports boosters could come, not the April meeting, but maybe May meeting for just recognition for their donations.
To the board meeting or athletic committee meeting? The board meeting?
Yes.
The May board meeting?
Yes.
Yeah. Can we put that on the May board meeting agenda? Okay, that's all we have for athletic committee business.
All right, so we have the approval of overnight trips. I'd like to separate these out into 2 motions and do DECA on its own. I do have, if anybody needs to see it, I have the request form, the itinerary. I think that's it. The request form and the itinerary are filled out in entirety for those. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve both softball trips pending turning in just this form that we were supposed to have. And then because it's parent transport, I'm not really, worry about anything except for how it's being funded, and then how long they're gonna be gone, and an administrator's signature. Are there any questions about either of these field trips, or one of these field trips? So I am looking for a motion to approve the overnight field trip for high school softball to Portage, Michigan on April 13th through 14th, 2024, and Midland, Michigan on April 26th through 27th, 2024, pending the request for overnight field trip form.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Alright, moved by Dennis, supported by Matt. Any questions or discussion? Mrs. Bell?
Julie LaHila,
Yes.
Dennis Olson,
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk,
Yes.
Mary Ann Ridings,
Yes.
Tim Tarja,
Yes.
Amber Hanson.
Yes. And then I'm also looking for a motion to approve the DECA students' overnight field trip to Anaheim, California from April 26th to May 1st, 2024.
I make the motion to approve the DECA students' time in California from April 26th to May 1st.
Support.
Moved by Dennis, supported by Tim. Any questions or discussion?
Congratulations to them, that's wonderful.
I know, it's
Very, very exciting.
Mrs. Valley?
Dennis Olson,
Yes.
Tim Tarja,
Yes.
Matt Malarchuk,
Yes.
Julie LaHila,
Yes.
Mary Ann Ridings,
Yes.
Amber Hanson.
Yes. And then at this time, I would like to open the floor up for public comment. If there's anybody that would like to address the board this evening? No. Then I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Support.
Moved by Dennis, supported by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
6:38.